Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweet Jimmy Radio.
So I was trying to wait till the game was over, but pretty much it was decided at halftime. The third quarter is still underway, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to pull up the score right here for you guys as well. Right now, it's 97-73 out of the third quarter. You've got a 24-point lead, Dallas leading Minnesota. So we're going to get into some playoff talk here. Looks like we're going to get into some NBA Finals talk. I know they still got, 12 minutes to play. Anything can happen. No lead is safe in the NBA. Let's be honest. I mean, 20-point lead in the NBA can be wiped out in a matter of a few minutes. So we're not going to jump the gun per se, but the way Dallas has played tonight, the way that they've dominated Minnesota, I'm fully expecting a Dallas-Boston NBA Finals. I think Charles Barkley and Shaq both said that they were taking Minnesota at the beginning of the game, and Barkley said it was going to be a sweep, or not a sweep, but a blowout for Minnesota. They were going to blow Dallas out. Obviously, it's the other way around, and it's the lively effect. I think I talked to Walter Pasacreta, former radio guy in San Antonio, on Twitter. We were kind of going back and forth, in a good way. We were going back and forth and talking about, Cat having a good game, and he said that, Cat had a great game in game 4, and it was to be expected, to be honest with you, because there was no Derek Lively in game 4. Derek Lively is the reason why the Mavericks have been able to dominate against the Minnesota Timberwolves. You see Lively in there. Just talked a little bit to Derek Irvin. You see Lively in there, and Derek is making a lot of plays for Minnesota. I mean, for Dallas on the side, where you're seeing Karl Anthony Towns, doing these pump fakes. Anthony Edwards is refusing to take it to the basket. He's becoming more of a jump shooter. That is the Derek Lively effect, man. So thank you for everybody joining in tonight. We've Robert's in here. Hey, man, sadly the series is all but over. True, I think it is all over. He's going to go with the Celtics here. I picked Boston at the beginning of the season to win the NBA title. The biggest reason being was the Drew Holiday deal. When they were able to trade for Drew Holiday, that was the missing piece for Boston. They did the right thing by pairing him with Derek White in the backcourt, giving themselves 2 great ball handlers, take the pressure off of Tatum and Brown for being primary ball handlers. That was the move of the offseason for Boston. You're giving Kristaps Porzingis enough time to rest, to heal. I like Boston. I fully believe we're going to see a 6-game minimum series. Wouldn't shock me to see them go 7 games in the NBA Finals. So, nonetheless, right now, as it looks, we're going to see a Dallas and also a Boston. Sorry, I'm looking at the game here as well. By Minnesota, a Dallas Boston. Excuse me, guys. Dallas Boston NBA Finals. So, thoughts on that? NBA Finals talk here. I'm taking Boston. Who are you guys taking? I know Robert mentioned in here he's taking the Boston Celtics. Who are you guys taking when it comes to the NBA Finals? But you know what? Let's get into some NBA talk here. We got a couple of things to talk about as well as NBA Finals. So one thing I failed to mention yesterday on the show that we did yesterday was the signing of Ty Lue. And when I say the signing of Ty Lue, we're talking about the Clippers bringing back Ty Lue, and he's from a new long-term contract. In a age of basketball where you don't really see that a whole lot. We saw Adrian Griffin get fired midway through the damn season, Milwaukee having a really good record, and then they get rid of Griffin. We're seeing, other coaches getting that 1 or 2 years to try to make their team playoff bound or get them to the next level. it's surprising to me that the Clippers actually signed Ty Lue to an extension. The Clippers underachieved a whole lot. So to me, they feel that tells me that they do believe in Ty Lue, and Ty Lue's a good coach. I like Ty Lue as a coach. I'm glad the Clippers are keeping Ty Lue. It makes a lot of sense for them to do that, but it also makes me feel that we're going to see again, like I mentioned, we're going to see a lot of change ups in the Western Conference. The Clippers being one of those teams where I say is going to be a big blow up. You've got, three guys there automatically in Harden, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George. News coming out about Leonard as well a little while. We'll get into that a little bit here. But Paul George is more likely going to be the guy that's going to be gone. James Harden is another guy that I feel might be gone. If the Clippers do stick with one of those guys, it's going to be Kawhi Leonard. They want to go into the new arena, probably with Kawhi Leonard and with Ty Lue as well. I love the fact that the Clippers are keeping Ty Lue. To me, that is fantastic. It shows that, like I said, they have confidence in Ty Lue. They believe in Ty Lue. They're giving him an opportunity. So I feel they're going to probably build a team for Ty Lue to be able to be successful in LA. But again, it's going to probably have to be without Paul George and probably without James Harden as well. We got some comments in here. Mario Cavazos in here. What's up, Mario? Appreciate you joining the live stream, man. How are you doing tonight? Love the profile pic. Love the profile pic there. That's awesome, Mario. Appreciate you joining in, man. You guys got questions? Be sure to ask the questions in the chat. You got any comments or anything? We will read everything that you guys put up. Lue was the coach of the Clippers. Who knows? Yeah, well, Ty Lue is the coach of the Clippers, and again, underachieving team. I mean, you've got all that talent on the team. Really, let's be real, man. Coaching in the NBA, I dread coaching in the NBA. Like, I really, really dread it because you have to put up with a lot of attitude. You have to put up with a lot of personalities, especially these teams that the Lakers with LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. It's tough to coach a team like that. You go to Phoenix, you've got Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. I mean, you're literally putting a lot of these coaches and Coach Budenholzer there now. It's a tough gig to do. Just because you have all the talent in the world doesn't mean your job is safe. Just because you get to the second round of the playoffs in the NBA doesn't mean your job is safe in the NBA. Your job is never safe. I've never seen the league like it is now, where you can be fired from one day to the next. Adrian Griffin again. Let's bring that up again. Adrian Griffin again. You can literally go day by day in the NBA. You don't know if you're going to have a job or not. So shout out to the Clippers, man, doing a good job of re-signing Ty Lue to that long-term extension. Okay, I'm wrong. Wolves won't win 4 straight. Yeah, come on, Sith. You call me the fortune teller. You should have dove deep in with me when I said that it wasn't going to happen. As long as Derek Lively plays, there was no way the Minnesota Timberwolves were going to beat the Dallas Mavericks. Lively is that guy that is keeping Karl-Anthony Towns in check. That's keeping Anthony Edwards outside of the paint. That's a fact. Just look at the game film. Derek Lively is that guy. So shout out Sith, man. I'm sorry. The Wolves they made it a fun run for one game. Cat came to play one game in this series, and it was like, oh my God, can we see? And the funny thing is, we had all the talk in the world across the league, across the media was like, if it's ever going to happen where we see a team come back from 3-0, it's going to be now. Minnesota can't be that team. No. Minnesota cannot be that team at all, man. They're not that team. I honestly, when you look at the series that they started the NBA, the playoffs with Phoenix is who they started in that first round. I actually took Phoenix to beat Minnesota that first round. I thought the immaturity was going to come out, but Minnesota surprised me. Then you see them against Denver. They exhausted every single ounce of energy they had against Denver, and it showed. They were actually a really good and really mature team there. They surprised the hell out of me. Against Dallas, it just kind of like fizzled like a bad fart for Minnesota. I don't know if they just exuded all the energy in the Denver series to get by Denver, got to Dallas, and Dallas was a little too much. I really don't know exactly, what is going on with the Timberwolves, but as of right now, as we speak, 9:36 left in the fourth quarter, 103-78. The Mavericks on top of Minnesota by a whole bunch. Do you think the Clippers should just rebuild? Swiss, 100%, man. The Clippers are one of the teams that I feel needs to rebuild. You've got a lot of guys there. I'm going to bring up let's bring up the LA Clippers team's salaries right now. So let's see. LA Clippers definitely is one team that you got to look at rebuilding, man. I don't. I mean, they have the second most payroll going into next year. I think at $170 million. So you're going to have to shed some of that. Paul George, like I said, that's $48 million coming off the cap. You still have Kawhi Leonard till 2026, 2027. You want to keep Kawhi Leonard. Harden comes off the books after this season, the 23-24 season. You've got guys you can trade there. Now, let's be honest. Do teams want to trade for James Harden? Probably not. They're not going to be lining up to trade for James Harden. They understand how James plays. James needs the ball in his hand. James is, going to do James Harden is going to do James Harden things, and that's usually not good for when it comes to, any team that he's playing on. So, guys that you want to maybe keep. Obviously, you want to probably keep Kawhi Leonard. If you can keep Paul George, that is great there. If you do keep a Paul George and a Kawhi Leonard, go out and get you a Chris Paul. You're going to need a facilitator. You're going to need a really good facilitator. Russell Westbrook is not that guy. James Harden is not that guy. I mean, other guys you might want to obviously keep. You've got Norman Powell. I love Norman Powell there. Powell makes a lot of sense. You've got Zubac, who's there at least till the end of the 2024-2025 season. You can keep Zubac, but I think they need a good facilitator. Chris Paul would make perfect sense in LA, not the Lakers, but the Clippers. That would be able to make Paul George and Kawhi Leonard play off in the wings, play on the wing part of the basketball court. It makes it a lot easier. Then Zubac, he's a really good player in the sense that he'd be able to set really good screens for Chris Paul to rub off of. I think Chris Paul makes a lot of sense there. So, yeah, the rebuild in Clipperland, I really feel needs to happen. That's one of my teams in the West that's going to be blown up in the offseason. The other ones, like I mentioned before, I'll get to the Minnesota part in a minute here, but the other one is Phoenix is another one. I think either Booker or KD are gone in Phoenix. The other teams are Golden State. Obviously, I don't think Clay's going to be there going into the offseason. They're going to obviously keep Steph. You're more likely going to keep Draymond. I don't see them moving Draymond anywhere. But Clay's going to be gone. Other teams out west that we can potentially see being blown up. Minnesota's one of them. Now, I've been on record as saying that I feel like Karl Anthony Towns is the odd man out. He's going to be more than likely he's going to be dealt in the offseason. My destination for Karl Anthony Towns is actually the New York Knicks. I think the Knicks are going to be very active in the offseason. If they had a healthy team, I feel the New York Knicks are probably going to be they would have been that team in the Eastern Conference that I would have been scared for if I was the Boston Celtics. The New York Knicks with Jalen Brunson, you have the Villanova trio with Hart, Brunson, and DiVincenzo. Julius Randle, if he can stay healthy, fantastic. He's the guy down low. But if you add a guy and you're able to keep OG Anunoby, obviously you've got everything you need there. What you need is another dominant big when it comes to the New York Knicks. I love Hardenstein there. Hardenstein is going to get re-signed by the Knicks in the offseason. He may command a massive amount of money, but he's going to get re-signed in New York. New York needs to keep Hardenstein. But I feel like Karl Anthony Towns would be really, really good in New York with that system. I feel like he might be the missing piece. Now, if it's not Karl Anthony Towns, one guy that I would look at for the New York Knicks is probably, Jakob Poeltl is another guy. A perfect fit in New York. Can set the screens for guys like Brunson and Hart and DiVincenzo and Anunoby. He can do a lot of backdoor work with Randall as well. Those screens, backdoor screens and everything. I mean, Jakob Poeltl is a massive commodity for just about any team in the NBA that needs a big man. I was sad to see him go. I was hoping that the Spurs would be able to keep him and Wemby at one point. That would have been a really good, 1-2 punch for me. Obviously, I know he was traded way before the Wemby selection where they had Wemby, but Jakob Poeltl is a massive, massive addition for any team out there. Those are just my thoughts on the couple of teams out west. What's good, Swiss out there? Kawhi is already locked up. They may lose out on PG and Harden. They should have signed PG before Kawhi, in my opinion. Out of the two guys, you're going to get more value out of Paul George than you will Kawhi Leonard. There is no doubt in my mind that you will, but we can't be shy about saying this, and this is the facts, is that Kawhi Leonard, when healthy, is probably the best player in the game, the best two-way player in the game. When healthy, he is more than likely, in my opinion, probably is the best two-way player in the game. He's an MVP candidate. So if you're choosing between Kawhi and PG, barring injury, barring Kawhi not wanting to play, Kawhi Leonard is the choice, but you get more value out of Paul George. In that sense, Rob, the other thing you got to imagine too is because you get more value out of Paul George, you're going to get a better deal, I guess, a better trade package for a guy like Paul George. So that's where I see him. I think he's got a player option, which is going to be $48 million. He's going to obviously opt into that player option at $48 million. And they're going to move him. I mean, they've got to move Paul George. And I think what we're hearing is that the Philadelphia 76ers are actually the team to watch when it comes to Paul George. But yeah, great question, man. I love that there. Clipper team has been cursed for years. They really have been cursed for a very, very long time. I mean, back in the Danny Manning days, and hell, you drafted Michael Olowokandi #1 at one point. So definitely a team that's cursed right there. Let's get what's up, man. How you doing? Tim Gallus, Blue Devils. I don't know about those Blue Devils, brother. Suns won't even have those three, KD, Booker, and Bill, in 2 years. You're right. They're not going to have those three after this offseason. One of them is going to be moved. One of them has to be moved. You have Coach Budenholzer come in. I really feel that one of those guys is definitely going to be moved. Sith 1 at 7. I thought the same. I underestimated the Mavs. Yeah, so the Mavs made the biggest moves at the trade deadline with PJ Washington, with Daniel Gafford, the drafting of Derek Lively. Spurs fans, you saw Derek Lively, you saw the dominance that he could bring on night one, game one of this past season when he played against Victor Wembanyama. You saw the potential in Lively. You're seeing his coming out party here in the playoffs, especially in this Minnesota series. He's going to be that Tyson Chandler type of player that the Dallas Mavericks had during that one title run that they had with Dirk. Tyson Chandler and Derek Lively are damn near the same player. You lob it up, he'll get it. He's a great defensive guy. He makes big men, think twice about taking it to the rim. So Derek Lively, huge addition in the draft. But don't forget the PJ Washington moves, the Daniel Gafford move. I mean, those were but the biggest thing too is Kyrie Irving. He bought into the system. And when I say the system, he bought into the fact that, I don't have to be the first option, but yet I don't have to be a sidekick. And even at that, like Austin Hartsfield and I said yesterday, it's 1A and 1B. Kyrie's not a second option. You can call him the second option, but he really isn't a second option. And he's bought into that. And that's the thing. That's the difference with Dallas this year is Kyrie has bought into the fact that, I don't have to be the first option, but at the same time, I can be the guy when I need to be. 100%, it's Luka's team. But once Kyrie actually thought, okay, it's Luka's team, doesn't make me any less of a player, doesn't make me any less of a man or anything at all. He bought into it. And that's the reason why you're seeing the Mavericks getting to that next stage, moving on to the finals here with 5 minutes to go. They're up 113-90 over Minnesota. That's one of the reasons why the Dallas Mavericks are heading to the NBA Finals against Boston. Sitting here, being from up north, I choose the Wolves for the playoffs. My first jersey was a KG jersey. Spurs on my squad now, though. Nothing wrong with the KG jersey, man. I mean, let's dive into Minnesota talk, man. The Wolves were your first team of choice. I mean, I remember when they had guys like Pooh Richardson and West was there. I think Glass was there. I mean, you're talking old guys. If I'm not mistaken, Malik Sealy was a Wolf at one time. I mean, we got old school names, man. So, uh, nothing wrong with Minnesota. I love Minnesota. In fact, I thought Minnesota had a great chance with the Stephon Marbury Kevin Garnett duo. That was one of my favorite duos in the NBA at that time. I loved the Marbury and Garnett duo. So shout out to Yusuf, man. I mean, that's the Wolves. Let's talk some Wolves back in the day. You and the Clippers helped Lou get that extension. I think so. I think like the Clippers going into the new arena, they want to ride in high. They don't want to ride in with turmoil. So I think we're riding in with a established coach in Ty Lue, keeping a couple of your players. Like I said, if they can keep Paul George great, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, you definitely want to move on from Harden, see what you can possibly get for James Harden. Uh, you might want to look at a draft night trade. I mean, that's something that you can probably get a couple of, maybe a lottery pick for James Harden for a team that is right there that just needs a scorer. I mean, hate to say it, but maybe the Pistons might be one team you could probably see him go to. They need some scoring. I would hate that for Detroit. They're an up and coming team. I don't think Monty Williams wants to even mess with that at all. But at the same time, I mean, you may see a team just trade for him, because they need that type of scorer. But I think the new arena definitely helped Ty Lue get that extension. I'll trade for number 2. You will trade for number 2, the man who is not spoken of here in the chat. Apparently, you'll trade for him all single day. I did not get a Wemby pop. I went to HEB today and I didn't even look for one. So I have not got a Wemby pop. For those of y'all out there that got one, congratulations, man. I heard it's a really good thing. Jacob trading number 2. You mean the working man from Burger Boy? Yeah, man. That's the number 2, the working man from Burger Boy. Shout out Burger Boy, man. I miss eating Burger Boy. I used to get the what was the double? It was the working man was the double cheese, and I would get the large fry, the loaded fry. You got it when you go to Burger Boy, you got to get the loaded fry, the cheese, the bacon, the jalapenos, all that stuff. And I used to get it with a big red. They had big red, so I used to get it with a big red there. I mean, you can't go wrong with anything else there. But the shakes at Burger Boy are magnifique. I can't even say it, whatever it is. But yeah, shout out to there, Jacob. Julius Randle will be back for the next 100%. Mario Julius Randle is going to be a Knick. I don't have any doubt that. The only move the Knicks are going to make, they're going to try to upgrade their roster, whether it be through free agency or whether it be through a trade. I don't see them trading Julius, Brunson. There's really nobody there that I see them trading. I think number one priority is they re-sign Hardenstein. That's the number one priority. There's nothing they're going to do more than that to start the offseason. That's the focus right there, is to re-sign him, because I think a couple of teams are actually going to throw some money his way, make the Knicks pay a little bit, but I do feel that Randall will still be there. I still think they're going to make a move, probably for a player. Could it be a Kevin Durant or Devin Booker? It's possible, one of those guys. Then you might have to actually give up somebody for one of those guys. But the whole Cat thing, I mean, I think his days are done. I think he's number 1 on my list for one of the guys going to the New York Knicks. Really got a Spurs question for you. Who should replace Pop as head coach? Well, my replacement for Pop at head coach, he actually was just hired recently, and that was Charles Lee from who's the Charlotte Hornets head coach now. I talked about him. So let's backtrack a little bit here. I don't do tall tales. Jeff Garcia can vouch for all this stuff here. Derek Gervin is another can vouch for all this stuff. I don't tell tall tales. But when Becky Hammon left to be the head coach for the Las Vegas Aces, Jeff called me and said, hey, let's do Locked On Spurs. Let's talk about the Becky thing. Who would replace, Pop now that Becky's gone? So we did a show, and I mentioned Charles Lee as being one of the guys. Why? Charles Lee's a very young coach. He's got a lot of experience. He was an assistant coach with the Milwaukee Bucks. I believe he was assistant coach with the Boston Celtics. He's got a ton of experience. But what I love about him is he is a board guy. And when I say a board guy, defensive-minded, good offensive-minded coach as well. He is a teacher, and he can get the job done. He was my number 1 option for the San Antonio Spurs. And that's who I really was hoping that he would still be an assistant. He could probably get, an interview with the Spurs later on. But Charlotte saw something in him and they saw the right thing in Charles Lee. And that's why he's the head coach for the Charlotte Hornets right now. Outside of that, I mean, I've heard rumbles and people saying they would love to have Becky Hammon back as the Spurs head coach if it became available when Pop was retired. I don't know if Becky comes back to the NBA. I think the Portland interview where it just felt like she was perfect for that job, but not given to it for whatever reason. I think stuff like that leaves a sour taste in her mouth. I get the Spurs connections, and don't get me wrong, when Pop retires, I fully believe Becky's going to get an interview for that position. Whether she gets it or not, I don't know. And I don't even know if she wants it. Look at the success she's having at the WNBA level. I mean, she's very, very quickly becoming, one of the all-time great coaches. She's already an all-time great player, but becoming one of the all-time great coaches in WNBA history. Chancellor's the other one, obviously from Houston Comets from back in the day. I mean, there's so many good WNBA coaches, from the history of the game. She's becoming that top-tier coach, and she could become probably the all-time, winningest coach in WNBA history as far as wins and as far as titles. I mean, the way the Aces are looking, they just keep looking dominant. So Becky coming back to San Antonio, I'd say that's kind of hit or miss right now. I don't know about that. But another person that I have in mind, you're probably looking at guys like maybe a Mike Brown. God, he'll come to me in a little bit here. But Mike Brown's another one. Budenholzer was another guy that had an opportunity. I also like Quinn Snyder. Quinn Snyder is a guy where I feel that he could potentially have a legit shot at being an NBA coach. The San Antonio Spurs coach when Pop retires. Quinn Snyder he started in Austin. Let's not forget, he started in Austin. I believe he was the head coach in Austin when he first came to the NBA for the Austin Spurs. So Quinn Snyder is one guy who I definitely think would be worth a look. Outside of that, it's so hard to tell because I think you got to see exactly who the roster is for the San Antonio Spurs at the time of Pop's retirement. So great question, Leha. I appreciate you joining in. Like always, MCS General Contracting, hit them up, man. Hey, they've got what they say, the hardest decks in the game. They can do everything you need when it comes to concrete work, pouring the concrete slabs, everything like that. MCS General Contracting. Get a hold of them today. And I don't know if they're still hiring. Don't quote me on that. I will find out. But they were hiring recently. So if you're looking for a job, definitely head up MCS General Contracting. Yes, sir. I was a fan until I moved to Texas at 6 years old and never looked back. Budo Spurs. Hey, man, nothing wrong with that. You can be a Spurs fan and then you can also be an NBA fan on the side. That's exactly what I am. I love the silver and black. Hell, you guys probably don't know a lot of my favorite Spurs, and Alvin Robertson is probably my favorite Spur. Needless to say, I mean, he's got a record that will probably never be broken. The steals record for a season. He's probably my favorite Spur. I loved Alvin Robertson. Watching him play, one guy that had a quadruple double as well. So David Robinson is another favorite Spur of mine. I've got a lot of favorite Spurs, that probably aren't very high on a lot of people's list, but. Nothing wrong with being a fan of the league in general, man. I mean, I have Drazen Petrovic jersey. I have other jerseys as well. So no need to go back on your Minnesota roots ever, man. If you want to cheer for the Timberwolves, you cheer for the Timberwolves. So appreciate everybody joining the chat here. We'll get into some Boston Celtics, Dallas Maverick talk here. About a minute and 15 seconds left in the game. Mavericks are comfortably up 121-96. This is Sweep the League. We'll be right back here in just a little bit.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweet the League Radio.
Hi, it's Sherilyn, and you're watching Sweep the League. Subscribe and share.
Rudy Campos Jr. here from Sweep the League. Hey, make sure you go and follow Sherilyn on Instagram. Just search official Sherilyn on Instagram. Yeah, official Sherilyn on Instagram. Go follow her ASAP. A proud friend of Sweep the League. Also, shout out to George Gervin, the Iceman himself. Always love having George doing our drop for us here at Sweep the League. We are talking about NBA Finals. So Mavericks 35 seconds away from being the Western Conference champs. Predictions, guys. Give me your predictions in the chats. Boston or Dallas? Break it down for me here. You have right now the best scoring duo in the league in Luka and Kyrie, going up against what I feel and a couple of other people feel is the best defensive duo in the backcourt in Boston, which is Drew Holiday and Derek White. Yep, former Spur Derek White. So it's going to be interesting. I give Dallas the edge in the front court. I really do. I mean, you have Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, if he's healthy, for Boston. But Dallas in the front court, I think, is where the bigs, and I want to say front court, I mean the bigs. So we're talking, Gafford. We're talking PJ Washington. I mean, obviously Derek Lively. So you've got a bunch of guys in Dallas that I feel are going to be able to dominate in the front court, but do they have enough scoring? I think with Luka and Kyrie, they'll be able to get work done. I know Austin Hartsfield in here, massive Dallas Mavericks fan, obviously, but they're going to get work done, but they're going to have a tougher time. I think with Derek White, with Drew Holiday, it's going to make life a little tougher for Luka and Kyrie. One of those guys is going to go off. Let's be real. One of those guys is going to have to be the main guy. But to get both of them to go off, that's where I think Dallas has a chance if both of them can go off. But let's not forget, I mean, you've got Jason Tatum in Boston still. We haven't talked about him. Jaylen Brown, we haven't talked about him. Then you got to the bench. I mean, you've got bench play on both teams. So my prediction is we're going to see Boston in 6 over the Mavericks. Celtics bringing home number 18 back to Boston. So Derek White's going to get his first ring with the Boston Celtics. That is my opinion there. What do you guys think, man? Boston or Dallas? I respect him. Manu is good and Tony isn't it for me. Full clarity, man. I love Tony Parker, but I was not a huge Tony Parker fan. Nothing against Tony at all, but I was not a big Tony Parker fan. Love his game, champion San Antonio, finals MVP, but okay. I just, he wasn't ranking very high for me on my all-time Spurs list. So definitely Tim Duncan fan, Manu Ginobili fan. I got some interesting Manu stuff, but we're going to save that for another day because I got to have a crowd of people in the chat with me like we have now, but also on the stream. So we'll save the Manu talk because it could get a little disrespectful for people out there in Spurs land. I've made the comments before on Locked On Spurs, and I got a little pushback, but I want to see what the pushback would be on a live show. So definitely, are you going to set up super chats? So Leha, I'm going to set up super chats. What we do is that's the key. For YouTube and StreamYard, we've got to get to like 40 something hours worth of streaming. And then we also have to get, I think it's like 500 or 1,000 subscribers. So that's how we're trying to get there. Once we get that, the super chat kicks in. But if anything, what I can do is if you guys want to help us out at Sweep the League and make a donation to Sweep the League, I'll be glad to put up the Cash App or whatever you guys want to do. So no doubt about it, or have a way to get cash to support. Leha, I'll shoot you a message here in a little bit on DM. So definitely appreciate your support, man. 100% love you guys out there. Love you, Leha, for the support you've always given us here. But yeah, once super chats become available for us, we will definitely be accepting super chats. And again, whatever we do, it goes all back to the show. It doesn't go back to our pockets. It goes all back to the show and all back to you guys. So appreciate it. Bum-ass Mavs in 5. Celtics had an easy path. Sith. I don't know, man. This is a tough one. Mavs in 5. I don't see that at all, brother. I think it's going to be Boston. Boston in 6. We may have to have a friendly little sweep the league bet here, Sith. So I might have to hit you up on that. Austin Hartsfield. Come on, man. You're obviously taking the Mavericks, but give me Boston, man. If you have an easy path, does that mean you're 100% in terms of health and strength? No. You know what? Okay. Easy path. Easy path. The Boston path. Okay, they went through injuries. What was it? Donovan Mitchell was injured. Obviously, the Knicks, they were banged up. I mean, the path, you could say, was easier for Boston, but at full strength, Boston was the best team in the league. So that's got to say something for something. It's got to say something about something there. Is they were the best team in the league. Now, I get it. You were beating up on the Eastern Conference, but can't take that away from them. Best team in the league, record-wise, and it showed. Like I said, the Drew Holiday deal is what put it over for me. That's the reason why I took them in the beginning, was Drew Holiday. So, easy path, yes. Playoff-wise, I will admit they did have an easier path, but you can't take away from what they did all season long. They were a dominant team all season long. I think they're healthier. Coach Gio's in here. He'll be on tomorrow. So we're going to have Coach Gio tomorrow on Sweep the League. He's making his long-awaited return to Sweep the League. Coach Gio, we're talking probably NFL and everything like that. So quick note here. We're going to be doing, like I said, a lot of content, a lot of shows. You're going to be coming in the evening sometimes. We're going to be coming during the day sometimes. Hell, we're maybe do morning shows. But again, it's all about giving you guys content, all about giving you guys all that you want. Be sure to support us. And, like I said, everything here is for you guys, to show by the people, for the people. Jack Haley is the true GOAT of the NBA. Jack Haley. Rest in peace, Jack Haley, man. So, Jack Haley, I'm trying to think of another guy we could put up there with Zarko Paspai and Uwe Blab. Those guys, how high do they rank on your list? Darth Odium, Lord of Abomination. John's out there. Us, USOAOG, support and love y'all's work, brother. I appreciate it, man. Right here. Any support we get, like I said, we appreciate it 100%, man. I love the fact that you guys have been joining me on the evenings here. I mean, first night we had, close to 100 guys on the stream. Last night we had upwards of 200. And tonight we're right around that 60 mark. So I don't care, man. It's 100% for you guys. We're just glad to be back. We're glad to be back talking sports with you guys whenever we can. It was a long, unnecessary break, but we are back with you guys. Shout out to Sports Insanity Network. They are one of our networks broadcasting up in the New York and northern part of the United States. Appreciate all your support up there as well. This is Sweep the League, Rudy Campos Jr. Again, USOA support, man. Love you guys. Appreciate all the support you give us. Rudy, hate to say it, I see the Mavs in 5. Mavs are on a high note. I like Boston, but Mavs like too good right now. Can't argue that. I can't argue that. I just Luka's playing at an unconscious level right now. Kyrie can go off his body time. And that's the other thing, too. You've got the Kyrie, former Boston, what was it? Stepped on the Celtics logo and all that other stuff. Then you've got the Porzingis factor. Porzingis was a former Maverick, so you've got some ties in there for the Boston and the Dallas series. It's going to be a great series, man. Great series. I can't argue with the fact that if the Mavs pull it off, better team wins. That's all I'm going to say. The better team's going to win this series. I just want both teams to be healthy, to stay healthy for the duration of the series, because that's where I feel that we're going to get the absolute best of both teams, and it's going to be a fantastic series, man. Rudy Campos, you here. Sweep the League. Give me a couple seconds here. We'll be right back to end the show here in just a little bit. right, so it is official. The Mavericks do beat the Timberwolves 124-103. It is a Mavericks Celtics NBA Finals, something that we kind of knew already ahead of time when we started the stream. So, again, I'm taking Boston. I've taken them in the beginning of the season. I'm going to stick with them. Mavs are playing really, really good right now. They're playing some great basketball. Boston's got a lot of rest. Hopefully, Porzingis is healthy. Like I said, I do want a healthy series. I do want a healthy Mavs team. I want to see a healthy Celtics team. Do not take this series for granted just because it's not the San Antonio Spurs or just because it's not, two teams that you're like, whatever. It's going to be a good series. It's going to be a great series. I expect it to go at least minimum 6 games with Boston winning the title for number 18. So that is my pick right there. Real quick, man, I want to get into some real quick talk here before we end this stream here. It's going to be a little bit of football. So I'm hearing a lot of this whole Dallas Cowboy thing. And again, I'm not a Dallas Cowboy fan. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan because I'm married into it. My wife's a Cowboy fan, so if I want to stay married, I gotta say hoorah and hip hip hooray for the Dallas Cowboys every now and then. Let me get to this comment real quick. Look, my NBA Finals is going to be fuck the ball. But yeah, I think the Celtics pulled it off. Oh God, I love you, Leia. Yeah, pretty much that's what everybody's feeling like. Forget both teams, right? So Dallas Cowboys, man. The talk is Dak Prescott. I made it very clear when it comes to Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. I don't see Dak Prescott being a Super Bowl champion for Dallas at all. I don't feel he's going to be able to lead them to a Super Bowl win. I don't think that – I don't know. It's hard to say because he's got that Tony Romo effect. He's going to get you to the playoffs, but it's not going to be anything more than that. I mean, we can probably
playoffs.
We can probably
playoffs. You
say
kidding
that
me?
about
Playoffs.
we know they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to definitely make the playoffs 100%. I have Dallas making the playoffs in my mock prediction for the season, but that's about it. The one thing they had to shore up was the one thing they did in the draft, and that was they win and shored up the offensive line. That was the most important thing right there. Outside of that, I still think they need a number 3 wide receiver. Talking to James Pledger late last night. One thing is the Houston Texans have a plethora of wide receivers. So could Dallas make a potential trade to get one of those guys? Pledger made a comment about Robert Woods. Now, a Robert Woods, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks trio it's formidable. It's good. That would give the Cowboys just a little bit more of a jump. So they still got to make a couple of moves somewhere, I feel. And whether Jerry does it or not, who knows? But shoring up the offensive line, they did that through the draft. So I commend them on that. The other thing with Dallas is Pledge also informed me that Vegas has Dallas favored in 14 out of the 17 games. So all the Cowboy fans talking about the sky is falling, that they didn't do anything in the offseason. They were quiet, but it was a good quiet. And that's where I'm thinking that they still are going to make another move, but they were able to fill the spots that they needed. And outside of losing your running back, obviously Tony Pollard's not there no more. I think that I love the Saints, and I'm going to ride with them till the end, but Chiefs going to three-peat. Yeah, we're going to get into – tomorrow we got all NFL talk with Gio. So we're going to ride on that whole subject as well. Texans, maybe we can get better. They have some dogs over there. CJ is cool as hell. Yeah. The Texans, we talked yesterday about the Texans. I'll give you a little bit of Texans talk here in a second too. Yeah. But the Cowboys they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to win games. Their schedule is not as difficult as a lot of people may feel it is. So the sky is not falling in Dallas. It's just they're not going to be able to hit the ceiling, if that makes any sense. They've got the team to compete. They've got the team to make the playoffs. They just don't have the team to win it all. They're not Super Bowl contenders right now. And for those of y'all that are, constantly talking about they've got to replace Dak Prescott. Who do you replace Dak with? Justin Herbert's not going to go. Herbert is the one guy who I feel like, okay, if the Chargers want to rebuild eventually, they're going to not re-sign Herbert. But that's just a moronic move because Justin Herbert is one of the better QBs in the league. So you're not going to get Mahomes. You're not going to more likely get Herbert at all. I mean, these guys, a lot of these guys, Burrow, a lot of these guys are signed till like 2028, 2029. So you're not going to get any of these guys. And you got to say to yourself, Dak Prescott is the only viable option to lead your team right now. The only way to get another good quarterback is to probably draft one. And that could very well happen next year. You've got some decent QBs coming out next year. And I feel that, the Cowboys, let's be real, man. They have enough to, like I said, make the playoffs. They still have a lot of holes to fill, man. They've got way too many holes to fill. There's still so much uncertainty that it's not even funny, when it comes to Dallas. But I just want to put to rest, they are a playoff team. They will make the playoffs. Their schedule is not as difficult as a lot of people may feel that it is. They're going to make some noise. Let's just be real. They're going to make some noise. And I think the best team still resides in Houston when it comes to NFL football. Houston did a lot in the offseason. Obviously, I'm saying Stephon Diggs is probably the number 3 wide receiver behind Nico and Tank. I think Stephon, hopefully he accepts his role. He kind of Kyrie's the role and just accepts it. That's going to make life a whole lot easier. Joe Mixon in the backfield. I mean, Danielle Hunter on the defensive side to go along with Will Anderson. The Texans just made so many moves that's the reason why I have them number 2 in the AFC. And I have the Jets actually number 1, hoping if Rodgers stays healthy, the Jets don't go through any injury issues at all. I have the Jets as my number 1 AFC team, Houston number 2 right now. When it comes to the top 2 teams in the AFC. So Lehi, you're right about the Texans, man. They made a crap load of moves, which is good. Lehi's in here. Start Trey Lance. Trey Lance, man, there's a reason why the 49ers were in a hurry to get rid of Trey Lance, and that's because he is a bad QB. He's not. You don't want to replace Dak Prescott with Trey Lance, man. I mean, that's only one. I did mention a guy yesterday talking to Pledger. The only guy you could possibly see maybe doing anything as far as the team not wanting him and maybe on the move is Trevor Lawrence. But if you look at Trevor Lawrence, is he any better than Dak Prescott? I don't think so. I mean, you're still really good with Dak Prescott. I don't see you making a move for anybody. So ride the Prescott wave. There's only going to be one team in the NFL winning the Super Bowl. So it's one team. And right now, if you're looking at teams, you're talking Baltimore, you're talking Kansas City, you're talking Detroit. I mean, there's a lot of teams ahead of Dallas. Philadelphia is another one. There's a lot of teams ahead of Dallas that are probably going to be Super Bowl worthy, Super Bowl contenders. So needless to say, don't give up on Dak Prescott right now because there's nobody available out there. It's the Cowboys, though. They love making dumb moves. Yeah. Cowboys apparently do like making dumb moves, but hey, man, can't be any dumber than drafting Michael Penix at number 8. Just kidding, guys. Okay. Just kidding, guys. Something like that. Just kidding. But yeah, like Pledge reminds me all the time. Well, actually, he reminded me a lot. You want your quarterback, you go get him. I just don't think you draft him at number 8. You trade down to get him right there. Beautiful bearded bashers. Appreciate you joining, man. One of the YouTube guys. I appreciate you in here. He's saying go Mavericks. Thanks for being in here, man. Mavericks. I'm assuming you're going for the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA Finals. Well, got a lot of people going for Dallas. So I unfortunately am going for Boston. I've got Boston in 6. So we will see what happens. Much love to you, man. Appreciate you joining the chat. This is Sweep the League, Rudy Campos Jr. Coach Gio will be on with me tomorrow. We got a whole lot of football. I'm sure he's got a whole lot to say as well, man. But as we bring this to a close here, I just want to let you guys know something here. The success that we've had in the past couple of days, we've had success in the past when we were starting with the Rated R podcast. This was over 7 years ago. We had the Rated R podcast. We moved on to radio. I was on 2 radio shows. Was on the first radio show ever, was the Sports Time, where I was a host on that show. Then we branched off and went on to Sweep the League Radio, where we were on 9:30 a.m. Both shows were on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Radio was fun, man. We had success in the radio world. We're seeing, we had some success with the Alamo City Podcast Network. We branched off on our own. Now we're with ourselves, which is the Sweep the League Network and also Sports Insanity Network. The success we've had in the last couple of days is amazing. And I truly say from the bottom of my heart, and I speak for everybody else who was involved with Sweep the League, that being Stats. Everybody remember Stats. We're hoping to get Stats back on. Candace Avila. You're talking Derek Gervin, Austin Hartsfield, who made a return yesterday, Coach Gio. Most importantly, Shemaya, our producer, Shemaya on the beats. I mean, we've got a lot of people that are involved with Sweep the League. I speak for all of them when I truly say we could not do this without you guys, without your support. And your support doesn't have to be monetary. It's never been about monetary, but your support where it helps us the most is subscribing and getting other people, other fans to listen to our show and to subscribe to our channel. So from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of everybody at Sweep the League, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Thank you for the continued support. We want to grow with you guys. We want to provide all the content, all the best knowledge we can give you guys. We're bringing some interviews in. We're bringing some former players in. We're doing all we can to make this the best show as possible for you out there. So again, thank you guys. Thank you everybody for your continued support. 100%. I just want to get that out of the way. Celtics, John's in here. He's taking the Celtics. We know Tim Gonzalez. Hey man, Tatum, Lively, and Kyrie in the NBA. Blue Devils. You got a bunch of Blue Devils, man. Where are the Tar Heels at? Tar Heels? Any Tar Heels in the? Yeah, we got to look that up. Luka is on fire. Again, Luka in the finals, it's going to either be a Luka or Kyrie show, but that backcourt of Derek White and Drew Holiday, I mean, like I mentioned before, the best offensive duo in the league. When the backcourt, I'm saying backcourt, not duo, but the best backcourt duo in the league offensively, in my opinion right now, is those two guys against what's arguably, in my opinion as well, the best defensive backcourt with Derek White and Drew Holiday. So it's going to be a fun series. Appreciate you. I'm going to call you B. What is it? Not B squared. Man, my mind's going out. Beautiful bearded bastards. I love that name. I got to catch you guys over here pretty soon. Miss Flashback Fridays with Derek. I love asking questions with him. Derek's going to be back, man. Derek's coming back here pretty soon. I talked to him a little while ago before we jumped on the show. He will definitely be back. He's itching. He's itching to get back on here. So we'll definitely do Flashback Fridays with Derek Irvin when he gets an opportunity to jump back on here. All Tar Heels are fishing right now. Why not, right? It's the summer. Tar Heels are fishing. But nonetheless, man, I appreciate everybody jumping on. We got a Mavs-Celtics finals. We talked a little bit of Cowboys. We got football tomorrow, NFL talk tomorrow. So be sure to join me. It's going to be myself. It's going to be Coach Gio. We're going to come to you probably the afternoon for your drive home. And then maybe we'll do an evening show as well. So we're going to bring you, again, as much content as we can. This is Rudy Campos. It is Sweep the League. Appreciate the support, guys. Hey, guys, as soon as we get Super Chats up, we'll definitely let you guys know. But, again, it's never about monetary. It's that subscribe. Click that subscribe button. Get your friends to click that subscribe button. We want to get up to 1,000 subscribers, man, so we can provide a whole lot more for you guys. So, for Rudy Campos Jr., for the rest of us here at Sweep the League, appreciate you joining. We'll see you guys tomorrow.